The boxing world is buzzing after Conor Benn's stunning loss to Chris Eubank Jr. last Saturday, and now his promoter, Hearn, is scrambling to spin the narrative. Hearn is doing damage control, immediately pointing to Benn's size disadvantage as the main culprit for the defeat. According to Hearn, the weight difference played a significant role, almost as if it were the sole reason for the loss. This is classic promoter behavior, finding an external reason for a fighter's defeat to protect their image. Hearn is already laying the groundwork for a potential rematch, suggesting that Eubank Jr. should drop down in weight to make it a fairer fight. But Hearn's comment about weight classes feels more like an excuse than an actual plan, and fans are left wondering if there's more to the story than just size and weight. In a typical promoter fashion, Hearn is attempting to protect his fighter's reputation. He's not fully committing to the idea of a rematch, even though the terms have already been written. The fight, scheduled for September at Spurs, is still up in the air, and Hearn's uncertainty is almost too perfect to be accidental. It feels like a strategic move to secure a better deal for Benn in the rematch. Hearn is playing the role of the salesman here, making it seem like Benn might walk away from the fight or make demands that give him the upper hand. This "we've got to think about it" statement doesn't sound like genuine concern. It feels like a negotiating tactic. Hearn is already stirring the pot, making sure that when the rematch does happen, it will be on terms more favorable for Benn. At the post-fight press conference, Hearn continued to play the blame game, insisting that Eubank Jr. should come down in weight for the rematch. But Hearn's argument seems a bit out of place, considering Eubank Jr. had already been struggling to make the 160-pound weight limit and was forced to deal with a 10-pound rehydration clause to stay within the 170-pound. Yet, Hearn continued to emphasize the point that the weight cut was unfair, making it seem like Eubank Jr. was the one who had the advantage. Hearn even said that Eubank Jr. was unprofessional in his approach to the weight cut, though he acknowledged that Eubank's performance in the ring was solid. This is classic damage control, highlighting Eubank's struggles in an attempt to downplay Benn's loss. As Hearn continued, he shifted the focus to Benn's future. He argued that Benn was at a significant disadvantage by fighting at middleweight, and it would be smarter for him to focus on lower weight classes. Hearn's message was clear. Benn's success lies in fighting in divisions below 160 pounds. The 35-year-old Eubank Jr., according to Hearn, should be the one to move up to 168 pounds, where the weight cut wouldn't be as harsh on his body. It's clear that Hearn doesn't want Benn to continue fighting in a weight class that isn't suited for him, and he's already looking ahead, suggesting that Benn could find success at lower weight divisions. The future for Benn, according to Hearn, involves a more strategic approach to his career, one that doesn't involve putting him at risk by continuing to fight at middleweight. Hearn wrapped up his comments by making it clear that while Benn is hungry for revenge and a chance to redeem himself, they have to be careful about rushing into another high-risk fight. It's not just about the loss, it's about protecting Benn's career long-term. Hearn knows that Benn's potential lies in lighter weight classes, where his skills can shine without being overshadowed by larger, stronger opponents. He's determined to make sure Benn doesn't take unnecessary risks that could derail his career. Hearn believes that Benn has the ability to win world titles in divisions below 160 pounds, but it will require a more cautious and calculated here on out. The pressure to bounce back from the loss to Eubank Jr. is real, but Hearn is focused on finding the right path for Benn's future in the sport. Hearn isn't just defending Benn's performance, he's strategically positioning his fighter for long-term success. Hearn has a reputation for being an expert in navigating the complex world of boxing negotiations, and this situation with Benn is no different. By emphasizing Benn's potential in lower weight divisions, Hearn is setting the stage for a more manageable career path, one where Benn isn't constantly fighting larger, stronger opponents. This could be Hearn's way of ensuring that Benn doesn't suffer further losses in situations where he is physically outmatched. It's all about protecting his fighter's future while still keeping the door open for future opportunities. Hearn's calculated approach isn't just about saving face after a loss, it's about creating a roadmap for success in a highly competitive sport. What's interesting here is the way Hearn is shifting the blame from Benn's performance to the weight disparity. It almost feels like a psychological tactic to allow Benn to save face with fans. In a sport as brutal as boxing, maintaining a positive image is crucial, and Hearn is doing his best to ensure that Benn doesn't become the target of widespread criticism. By suggesting that Eubank Jr. should drop down in weight, Hearn is indirectly pointing to the weight difference as the primary reason for Benn's loss. This allows Benn to retain his credibility and ensures that the boxing community doesn't write him off after just one defeat. It's a delicate balancing act, but one that Hearn is undoubtedly skilled at executing. There's also the matter of public perception. Boxing fans are known for their passion, and when a fighter loses, it's easy for people to jump to conclusions about their skill or future in the sport. Hearn knows this all too well, which is why he's being careful not to let Benn's defeat define him. By suggesting a rematch with Eubank Jr. under different conditions, Hearn is giving Benn the chance to redeem himself, but with a more favorable setup. Fans are already questioning whether Benn can bounce back, and Hearn is doing everything in his power to make sure they don't turn their backs on his fighter too quickly. The goal is to keep Benn relevant and in the conversation for future big fights, and positioning him for success in lighter weight divisions is a key part of that strategy. The dynamics of the boxing world mean that fighters can quickly go from being on top of the world to being written off after a loss. Hearn knows this better than anyone and is doing everything possible to ensure that Benn doesn't fade into obscurity after his defeat. His comments about Benn's future aren't just about the loss to Eubank Jr., they're about creating a narrative that allows Benn to rebound. By setting up a potential rematch with Eubank Jr., Hearn is ensuring that Benn's story isn't over yet. It's clear that Hearn wants Benn to have the opportunity to right the wrongs of their first encounter, but only under the right circumstances. For Benn's career to continue thriving, it's essential that he fights in weight classes where he can be competitive and take on opponents who are more evenly matched in size and strength. Ultimately, Hearn's words suggest that Conor Benn's career is far from over. While his loss to Chris Eubank Jr. might be a setback, it's clear that Hearn has already formulated a plan to move forward. He's looking beyond the immediate loss and focusing on how to rebuild Benn's career with a smart strategy. Whether it's securing a more advantageous rematch with Eubank Jr. or positioning Benn in a weight division that better suits his strengths, Hearn is determined to guide his fighter toward a successful future. Boxing is a sport full of ups and downs, but with Hearn's experience and his fighter's skill, Conor Benn has the potential to come back stronger than ever. The road ahead may be rocky, but it's far from over.